I'm going to be creating a new painting today, or at least starting one. On this canvas, this is a 30-inch wide by 15-inch tall canvas, and I'm going to be creating a new landscape, which is a little bit more from a distance, set a little bit further back than some of my other pieces. The goal is to keep it pretty loose and flowing. So I'm excited for you to join me as I start this piece off. So the first thing I did when I was planning out this painting was to create a little sketch for myself. So it's a little bit difficult to catch in the light here, but it's a very simple sketch. I jotted down a couple of notes for myself as to how I was inspired and the colors that I'm planning to use in this piece. So I was inspired by one of my other older pieces called Rhythm, and I'm planning to use a similar strategy on the trees in this piece, which was to create a lot of darkness within the tree shapes themselves, but sort of a pinkish background to the trees that's showing through the branches. I also jotted down that I'm planning to use a lot of blues and lavenders in this piece with some lighter, more pastel warm tones in the sky and in the background. Kind of a wintry palette. So now that I'm all set up, I'm going to start by actually sketching the painting out with a piece of chalk. I brought you a little bit closer to the action today than some of my previous videos so that you can really see what my hands are doing. So I'm just going to start sketching kind of the main horizon lines. Got a couple of different strips of land that are coming together here. The beauty of using chalk as you're starting off is that you can actually kind of brush it away if you find that your shapes are not coming together like you had planned. So I'm actually just going to use a paper towel because I'd like this shape to be a little further off to the side. And you can paint right over these chalk markings. So a great way to start. This part of the process is very imprecise. So really just trying to get a sense of where these bigger shapes are going to fall. Right here we have a snow-covered area right under these trees. So I'm differentiating the dark tree shapes from this lighter, what will be lighter, snowy hill area. And right at the base of this hill, you're going to see a little body of water coming in from the side. And let's see, it extends all the way to almost the edge, but not quite. So this will all be reflective of what is above it. All right. So let's see. as usual, I'm going to start with my darkest darks and work my way toward lighter colors as I go along. And you can always accentuate the darks and the lights, so don't worry too much about the colors that you're putting forth in this very first layer. You can always change them, and in fact, more layers on top of these are always helpful. Again, not super precise. I'm just kind of going back and forth, trying to hold the brush flat and use the edge to create these more pointy edges to the tree. But again, we're trying to keep it not too patterned. Got to keep adding variety in the shapes that we're putting down to make it look like a real tree. Okay. And when we go back in with the other colors that we're using, so for this strip of land right here, and for the lighter trees back in this ridge, we'll be cutting in lighter paint into these areas. So again, this doesn't need to be super precise at this phase. Down here, these trees start to blend together in the bottom area. All right. Got a couple of photos behind me that I'm continuing to reference too. It's going to help me see which values are alike. So the darkest pieces, or the darkest trees, I'm making them all the same value. Okay. Although we can switch up the color a little bit. I'm mixing up a bit more paint here. This is going to turn out to be a little bit more purple than these other trees. Again, variety is good, and there are no wrong answers, especially when it comes to painting trees. One of the reasons I like it so much. Give this guy a little shadow to ground it. Oh, actually, we've got a few more trees that I didn't even sketch over here, but that's okay. We can just paint them in. Okay, great. So now that we have those laid in, I'm going to take actually the same little mini palette tray that I've mixed together, and just add a little bit of white to the colors that I've already set up. That one is turning a little too pinkish, so I'm adding some Payne's Gray to bring in the grayish blue tones a little bit more. And I'm going to add just a little bit more white. Okay, so that's going to be workable because now we're heading one layer back. So we've got the darkest trees in. Now we're going to start with, I guess, the second darkest layer of trees. Okay, so we don't have too many of these over here. Oh, and look, I've got a nice drip going here. That's exciting. There's just a little, I'm not even sure if it would be considered a tree back here. I'll give it that shape. And a few little spots this way. And we're just continuing that line around the edge of the canvas on that side. A few little suggestions of trees back here, or maybe just some plants. And the same on this side. These could even be just kind of grasses. Again, you can tell thanks to this line right here that this row of brush and tiny trees is behind these front darker trees. So we're using a few different methods to suggest where it falls in the composition. One being this setback horizon line, and another being the slightly lighter color. Actually, another sort of layer back in here. And we don't have to paint every single detail that shows up in whatever reference photo we're using. We're just really hinting at these ideas of what's there. Okay. Very far from perfect, but this is, again, a start and a suggestion of where we're headed. Okay. So I'm taking actually the same little palette tray that I've been working with, and I'm going to mix an even lighter color to lay in that back ridge. And I'm actually going to move to time-lapse view so you can see this coming together even more quickly than the process that you've just been watching. So now that I've explained the steps that I'm taking, hopefully it all will line up for you in your mind as to the next phases that are going to be presented in time lapse form.